guys, it's Shar. Welcome back to my channel, Crafting Up a Storm. Today I have some more Halloween project ideas. I made some tiered tray decorations for my daughter's place, and she loves having some spooky, different Halloween items. So I've got some really great ideas for you if you enjoy that. Let's get crafting. I found this sign at Dollar Tree and I loved the moon on this. So I'm going to just take that off and use it for her tiered tray. And so I filled in the hole with some like putty. And then I just wanted to paint over the top of that to kind of blend that in. And I just did the best I could to match colors, and I kind of mixed some of the red chalk paint and some yellows and oranges acrylic paint that I had. Since the paint now doesn't match the same sheen, I did go over all of it once I was done with some matte Mod Podge, and that would make it blend even a little bit more. So I just did a coat over the top of it. And then to the back, I glued a couple of cubes and one tumbling tower block to help it stand up. And I'll show you what this moon looks like on the tray at the end. For this project, I wanted to make kind of a spooky tombstone. So I took actually two of these larger styrofoam bones from Dollar Tree, and I cut, actually I only used one, that's right. I cut it so that one end was a little bit longer. The shorter end I split in the middle, and these are going to kind of go in front. So that's why I wanted them a little bit shorter. I think I ended up taking a little bit of the height off as well too. I just kind of played with it until it was about where I wanted. I also kind of cut off some corners. That way they fit together in the front. And you'll kind of see how it comes together as I'm putting it together. And then I used one of the little styrofoam skulls, and I kind of cut the back off so it would sit more flat. And at first my goal was to put the skull kind of in the middle of these two in the front. I changed it up a little bit, you'll see later. I used my hot pen to put RIP initials at the top. Every so often I kind of go off screen, you'll see, and that's just me kind of cleaning the styrofoam off that. It gathers as I'm going through the letters over and over just to kind of get some depth to it. So I kind of have to clean the tip of it off. But I just put in those initials, and I just wrote it by hand ahead of time and then kind of followed that so that you could tell what it was saying. Now I'm going to paint everything the black chalk paint, and I really want to get it down into those letters. That way that helps those kind of show up once I highlight. So I did paint it, and then I went in the letters specifically with a small paintbrush or a pokey tool or a wire, just something to get that paint in there. Now I'm going to go over all of the pieces with the elephant chalk paint, and that makes it kind of look cement-like. Before I do the last highlighting, I want to put it all together because I want to be able to show the places where I need to highlight as a whole. So I glued the two half pieces to the front, and it is just a little bit flimsy. So what I'm going to end up doing is putting some skewer pieces or toothpick pieces in to kind of help hold them in place. So I just pushed them in, and I used something to kind of push it all the way so that it held that better. And with the skull, I ended up tucking it a little bit higher in between these two. And so I'm going to end up painting that bottom place where I thought I was going to put the skull, and I came up with something different. I'm going to use some of these plastic flowers from Dollar Tree. I've had them in my stash, so They're plastic, so they're easy to be able to paint. So I painted them with black chalk paint. And I just kind of got all the way around underneath and on top of those little petals, and I painted them black. And I didn't end up doing it, but once I was done, I thought about it, and probably adding a little bit of red to them would have been really kind of neat. But I didn't, but they came out good. Okay. It came out fine. Now I'm going to do my light gray chalk paint on there to get my highlight, and it's that Moonstruck. And I'm going to do it to all of the pieces, even the flowers. And I just glued the little flowers to the bottom. I left them a little bit more dark. I didn't put the elephant on it. I just highlighted them a little bit. But that's how this spooky piece came out. What do you think? This one is probably my favorite from this set of projects. I got some of the small skull styrofoam pieces from Dollar Tree, and Bargain Bethany had done several skull items with the large skulls, and I kind of got that inspiration to make these little tiered tray candlesticks using these small skulls. So I'm going to do what I've done with all of these is paint them all with the black chalk paint first. Now I have some soda bottle lids, and I'm using those as a base. I'm making 2 candlesticks, and I want one to stand up a little bit higher than the other. But I'm just going to stack 3 skulls on each, and I'm going to poke the skulls through with a skewer. Actually, these are a cupcake pick from the cupcakes, but I think they're about the same thing. Once I had it through the middle one, I put a little glue on the bottom one and poked that into that bottom skull. And I did that on both. I just positioned the skulls a little bit differently. I stacked 3 on one side, and on the other side, I turned one sideways, and that made them different heights. Once I had the skewer through and the glue was set, I took off most of the top of the skewer stick, and that way I can just push the top one in and it won't poke out the top of that top skull. So I have them all stacked up and together, and then I glued a stem to the top. At first I was going to put the stem on and then do a flame, like maybe from Fun Foam, but I ended up changing it. So I don't know if I would have used these stems or if I would have made them this tall, knowing what I ended up using, and I'll show you guys, but this is what I started with. And then, of course, I did the elephant chalk paint on the top of that to make it look very cement-like. And here's my highlighting and spookiness detail with that Moonstruck. And it gives it a lot of dimension and really brings those features out on those little skulls. Now, I went in, and this is what I ended up using. There are bulbs from the little lights. These are the extra ones. I got some orange Halloween lights at, I believe I got these ones at the 99-cent store. But they came with 2 extra bulbs. And so I used the extra bulbs, and I just pulled the little bulb part off and glued that to the top of my stem, and that will be my candle. Because the candles are orange and they kind of pop off, I ended up using orange to color the wax. But here I'm putting all the wax and just dripping it down. And I'm obviously just using hot glue. And I'm just letting it kind of drip and drizzle. And I am connecting the two at the bottom and making just wax kind of all over the bottom of it. Anywhere I dripped some of that hot glue, I colored it with the orange or the pumpkin chalk paint to make it look like the wax. And it's just however much you want to cover it with. I started with my base coat of this pumpkin chalk paint, and it probably took 2 coats to really make it look good. And now I'm going in with a more kind of reddish orange. I believe it's a harvest orange for my shadows. And I'm just putting that in all the creases and the darker spots. That kind of matches that bulb a little bit more, that orange. And all the crevices will get this shadow, brighter orange. And then for the highlights, I go in with a more yellow. And I put some of the yellow on, and I realized it's so different, and it's such a different color that I went ahead and put it in the places that I want it, mainly the bottom parts of the drip. And then I took water and I just really kind of smoothed it out so it blended a lot better. And I just put a little water on the tip of my brush and blended once I put that yellow down. And that's what I used to add highlights. And these were my favorite. You guys have to tell me what you think of these. The 99-cent store had some different size spiders. This size was a good, decent size, and it came 2 to a pack, but they were kind of a glittery gold, and we were going for a more spooky theme. So I did go ahead and cover all of it in the black chalk paint. And I tried to get the back and the sides of the legs so that it didn't show from any angle. To add a little bit of color to it, I used a really dark blue. I believe it's the, acrylic paint. I used it on the haunted house. It's almost a blackish blue, Prussian blue. Americana Prussian blue. And then I went over it with that Moonstruck, and you can't really see the blue too much. It does blend in, and once it's dry, it's almost a black, but it adds just a different sheen. I decided I kind of wanted to do what would look like a skull on the back of this spider. It's a little difficult to see once I finish. I wish I would have made it stand out a little bit more. But I just kind of did a skull shape. It looks like a keyhole in this video when I get done. It ends up a much more skull-like at the end. But I started with this shape, and then I added some water to it to kind of take away the definite edges. And now I'm adding in the eyes and the mouth with that Prussian blue. I went over it with some black chalk paint, and I think it was just a little too dark because it took a lot of it away. I should have gone over it with just that elephant, but you can still kind of see it. In the picture at the end, it's upside down, so it's really hard to see the bottom of it, but you can see the little skull. Just something to add a little spooky to it. Now, to prove that she does like all sorts of different Halloween items, we did make this cute little ghost garland for her shelf in her room. And so I started with painting all the little ghosts that we were going to use white with Waverly white chalk paint. Then I went around the eyes and the edges and the mouth with a Sharpie. And I highlighted everything there. Now I'm using a paintbrush and some acetone, and I'm going to go back over where that Sharpie was, and I'm just going to go around and I'm blurring it. And it just kind of picks up the ink from that Sharpie and just smears it a little bit, so it gives it kind of a blurred look, a little more spooky look for this cute ghost. And I ended up going over the whole top of it to help kind of spread that color a little bit too, and just blur the entire outline. I did also use a file and go over it a little bit. It didn't make too much of a difference, so it's up to you one way or the other. You could take a lot of the white chalk paint off with it and really distress it, but it didn't change it much. I didn't change it much with filing. Now, the 99-cent store also had this really cute pom-pom garland. I picked up a couple of packages, and I'm just trying to figure out kind of what I want to do. They also had these beaded garland, and I picked up several of these because even if I don't use it, the bead color is great. So I decided to use just black pom-poms for it, and then I did beads, and I did orange, black, orange on each side of the ghost. To hook the ghost to the garland, I'm going to use this mesh. I can't remember what it's tool. The tool. I just cut a strip and I folded it in half and I poked the folded side in through the back of the ghost. I used just a file and poked it through. And then I will do that where I wrap the tails and poke them through the loop with the garland string in between. And just pull it tight. And that's how I attach those. And then once I had all of those on there, I trimmed it up. And that's how those came out. Cute. This is her tiered tray decoration. She picked this tiered tray up at the 99-cent only store. Of course, it was one of the higher priced. It was like a $9 tiered tray, but it's super cute. And the moon is on the back. I also have one of the little brush trees. I just cut out some fun foam bats to decorate on that one. And the little skull candle is on top. The tea light she bought at, I believe, Dollar Tree on the top. And then on the bottom, we've got the spider, the little headstone, and then another tea light she picked up at Dollar Tree. The two pumpkins in the back, she also picked up at Dollar Tree. The white with the black bones was just fine, but the black with the white bones, the bones were very off on the painting and not defined very well. So I just went over it with a layer of black chalk paint and then defined those white bones out again, and they came out really cute. I also have a few pictures of her set up in for her decorations, and I will also put a link to her Instagram. She posted on her Instagram all her fun little decorations that she put up. If you enjoyed these projects, hit the thumbs up button and consider subscribing to my channel. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers, and I'd really love to have you as part of my crafty family. Have a great day and keep crafting.